The Galactic Academy of Sciences had seen many species come and go over its 3,000-year history, but never had they encountered anything quite like the Terrans. Maya Chen floated in the zero-gravity chamber alongside her study partner, Zexkar, a crystalline being from the Silurian Nebula, whose body shimmered with bioluminescent patterns when excited, which was often given their shared passion for xenobiology. The practical examination begins in 10 cycles, announced Professor Velthar, their instructor whose tentacled form rippled through the observation fluid that filled his environmental suit. Today you will demonstrate your species' adaptation capabilities under extreme atmospheric conditions. Maya had been dreading this day since her acceptance to the Academy 6 months ago. As the first human to ever attend the prestigious institution, she carried the weight of her entire species' reputation. The other students, beings from 47 different worlds, had already whispered about the fragile Terran who required such specific environmental conditions to survive. The examination chamber was a marvel of engineering, capable of replicating any atmospheric composition found across the known galaxy. Maya watched as her classmates were assigned their tests. Zexkar would endure the crushing methane storms of Titan 7, while Morgoth, a silicon-based entity from the scorched systems, would be subjected to the frigid vacuum conditions of deep space. Student Maya, Professor Velthar's translator, crackled to life. Your examination will test Terran resilience under oxygen deprivation. You will have 30 standard minutes to complete the xenobiology identification sequence while your atmospheric oxygen is gradually reduced to 0. The other students' bioluminescent patches dimmed, their equivalent of nervous silence. Everyone knew that most carbon-based life forms could barely survive 10 minutes without oxygen, let alone function cognitively for 30. Maya entered her designated chamber, a transparent sphere suspended in the center of the testing facility. She could see dozens of alien specimens floating around her, creatures from worlds she had only dreamed of studying. Her task was simple in theory: identify and categorize each specimen while documenting their biological adaptations. In practice, she would be doing this while suffocating. Beginning atmospheric adjustment, the mechanical voice announced. Oxygen levels decreasing from 21%. Maya felt the familiar sensation of thinner air as the percentage dropped. At 15%, she could see her classmates pressing their various sensory organs against the viewing windows, expecting her to collapse at any moment. Zexkar's patterns flickered with what Maya had learned to recognize as concern. 10%, 9, 8. Maya continued her work methodically, using the scanner to catalog a fascinating creature that appeared to photosynthesize through metallic scales. Her breathing became more controlled, deeper, as she unconsciously shifted into the meditation techniques her grandmother had taught her, ancient practices that helped Tibetan monks survive at extreme altitudes. 5% oxygen. Professor Velthar's translator buzzed frantically as he communicated with his assistants. This was unprecedented. No carbon-based life form should still be functioning at this level. 3%, 2. Maya was now in a state she recognized from her mountaineering expeditions back on Earth. Her body had shifted into emergency efficiency mode, her heart rate actually slowing as her system adapted. She continued cataloging specimens, her mind sharp and focused despite the academic impossibility of her situation. 1%. By the 7 suns, whispered Clast, a gaseous being whose form shimmered with disbelief. The Terran is still working. 0% oxygen. The chamber now contained only nitrogen and trace gases. Maya should have been unconscious within minutes. Instead, she calmly documented her final specimen, a beautiful coral-like organism that seemed to pulse with internal light. What the Academy's finest scientific minds didn't understand was that Maya's species came from a world where survival meant adaptation. Humans had conquered mountains where the air was thin, dove to ocean depths that should have crushed them, and survived in deserts that baked other species to death. Earth had forged humanity in fires of ice ages, asteroid impacts, and countless extinction events. But more than that, Maya carried something uniquely human, the absolute refusal to give up. 20 minutes into the test with no oxygen present, Maya's body began to metabolize stored compounds more efficiently. Her brain, incredibly, started functioning at an even higher level as stress hormones sharpened her focus to a razor's edge. "This is impossible," Professor Velthar muttered, his tentacles writhing with agitation. "The readings must be wrong. Nothing should survive this long without oxygen." Professor, his assistant, a insectoid being named Clicktar, gestured with all four arms. "Her neural activity is actually increasing, and look at this. Her cellular respiration has somehow shifted to an anaerobic process we've never documented." Maya completed her catalog with 3 minutes to spare. She had identified all 47 specimens, documented their unique adaptations, and even theorized about 3 potential new symbiotic relationships she observed. When the chamber door opened and oxygen rushed back in, she took a deep breath and smiled. The silence in the observation deck was deafening. "How?" Zexkar's patterns flickered rapidly. "How did you survive that?" Maya shrugged, a gesture that had become famous throughout the academy as distinctly human. "On Earth, we have a saying, adapt or die. My ancestors climbed mountains where the air was thinner than what you just put me through. They held their breath for minutes while hunting underwater. They survived in environments that would kill most species in seconds." She paused, looking around at the assembled beings who represented the finest minds from across the galaxy, but mostly were just too stubborn to quit. Professor Velthar floated closer, his environmental suit's sensors working overtime. "Student Maya, in 3,000 years of Academy history, no being has ever scored perfect marks on the atmospheric adaptation examination. You have not only passed but have redefined what we thought possible for carbon-based life." As word spread throughout the Academy, Maya became something of a legend. Students from across the galaxy came to study the impossible Terran, who breathed when there was no breath to be taken. But Maya knew the truth that her species had learned long ago. Sometimes the strongest steel is forged in the hottest fire, and sometimes the greatest victories come not from superior technology or evolved advantages, but from the simple, stubborn refusal to give up. In the cafeteria that evening, as beings from dozens of worlds gathered to hear her story, Maya smiled, and began with words that would eventually be translated into over 1,000 galactic languages. "Let me tell you about Earth,